The long game of the short seller. That's where we go to now with Marc Cohodes. He's a 30-year veteran of the other side of the market. That's the short side, with considerable experience in the Canadian equity market over the years as well. He still shorts stocks for himself and his family alone. He's in San Francisco to discuss his philosophy. Marc, nice to see you.
How are you doing, Francis?
I'm great. Thank you very much. I had a whole series of things I wanted to start with, but I have to start with this tweet that Amber Kamwar sent out this morning. It comes from the Concordia annual general meeting, and I think it's directed very specifically at you. If you are a chicken farmer, your chickens will come home to roost. This comes from Marc Thompson, the CEO of Concordia. And just as background, you are a chicken farmer at this point in your life. You do a lot of other things, but you do have chickens. What's your response to Mr. Thompson?
Oh, I love that, Francis. Thank God we're starting this off, as I would say, hot. One of the things I always try to do is I bet the jockey and not the horse. And one thing I look at is I look at career failures. And the management of Concordia, their past gig was at something called BioVale, which I was short a long time ago, which was a complete and utter fraud. So Thompson has a history of nonsense when he was at BioVale. He started up a company called Trimmel Pharmaceuticals. I last quoted that at 18 cents. And for a guy who pays himself $9 million US a year and is leveraged as he is, he should focus a little more on running his business and a little less on me.
Let's turn to some of the controversies around you first, and then we'll get to the Concordia and your short playbook as well. Because, cool. But there have been some allegations that you and other short sellers have been involved in what some people call short and distort on Concordia, but also on Nobilis Health. Is that true?
Well, I don't even know the symbol of Nobilis Health. And in terms of short and distort on Concordia, I have a Twitter account at Alderlane Eggs. I've always called Concordia the poor man's Valiant. I'm here today. I don't hide from anyone. I'm not scared of anyone. I would love to talk to the regulators and people who are interested in pharmacy pricing, and I will talk about how Concordia gouges the U.S. consumer and especially the consumer over in the U.K. So there's no short and distort with me. I've never been accused of such. I'm here. I don't hide. I don't use pseudonyms. And, you know, my life has been threatened, I think, 3 times. My son, who's disabled, his life's been threatened once. And this is what you get for speaking out against complete and utter nonsense and frauds.
Let's move back to your short thesis. We're just looking at the Concordia short position, which hasn't budged despite the fact that the company is looking at strategic options. Well, let's just stick with Concordia, though. A couple of issues in particular. What do you think about the creation of the committee at Concordia to look at strategic options in the reviews, or the rumor, excuse me, last week that Blackstone was interested in making an offer?
Well, I don't think Blackstone is interested in making an offer. I think Concordia is desperate for money. They're desperate to get their stock up. I think someone from Concordia or a shareholder of Concordia leaked this information to Bloomberg. I think at the end of the day, they're probably going to have to sell that preferred they talked about to raise money, because I think their cash flows will come up short. And basically, something that really turns me on and I'm attracted to are failed, over-leveraged roll-ups run by very, very, very weak operators. And that's exactly what Concordia is. They've overpaid for assets. After they buy these assets, they've raised prices. I've done some analysis, and I'll be very happy to share it with BNN and your viewers, that the CAGR, the compound annual growth rate of Concordia's drugs in the U.S., is up 58.8%.
And we're talking drug prices is what you're talking about.
Yeah, we're talking about drug prices. We're talking about they hauled Pearson and Schiller and Ackman's ass into Congress or the Senate the other day, scolding them about price gouging, and it's exactly what Concordia does in the U.S.
Mark, some people argue, though, that they have just brought prices up to levels at which other competitive products are already at.
See, that's what they'll say. I'm very happy to furnish you with the prices, and everyone can look at them. Everyone can come to their own conclusions, and whatever the market decides, the market decides. The market's a court of public opinion. It's not a court of law. And the evidence that I have shows Concordia as a price gouger, both in the U.S. and the U.K. And they're so highly leveraged, they decided to take a Valiant copycat model, and when Valiant stock was going up, it was very, very, very convenient for Concordia to call themselves the next Valiant. That's what they did in their presentations. And they even went as far as to say some of the executives worked at Valiant. Well, they never did. You know, there's a guy named McCreary or something like that, and he worked at BioVale. There's no record in his LinkedIn that he ever worked at Valiant, and yet they all claim Valiant's success. When Valiant goes up, when Valiant goes down, they want nothing to do with Valiant.
Mark, I'm going to interrupt you because we are going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with more because I know that Concordia is a hot button with you, but I also want to talk about Canadian housing, the other hot button. We'll be back with Marc Cohodes after this quick break.